Hello, beautiful people. Dr. Doula here. I actually had something that was so much on my mind today that I said I was going to pop on and share about it. Now, there's some of you who might not know, but I homeschooled my 4 sons for 13 years. I feel like I've lived a bunch of lives. But I've had this situation come up where something has stuck out to me more than it normally has. And it is about the words that we're speaking to our children. And I wanted to comment about it. I know for me, because my mom had passed right before I got married, there was always a feeling of experimenting. I always felt like I was experimenting with things like, well, let's see how this is or that or the other. Or some things I felt like I could remember, some things I felt like I couldn't. But the thing about words was really important to me. I was always very, words were just important. But when it came to my children, I made sure that the words that I spoke were words that I was okay with other people repeating back. Now, that's the first thing. And there was a sister, actually, one of my children's godparents. She used to say, I speak to my children in a certain way so that other people will know how I expect them to speak to my children. Now, that's not how she said it. That's how I took it. What she said was, when you speak to my kids, put some sugar in that medicine. Like, don't just talk to them any kind of way. And I demonstrated by doing that myself. I demonstrate how I want people to treat my children by how I say it myself. Now I'm going to talk to you from, of course, I'm a birth worker, Dr. Doula, right? But I'm also coming more from that mom frame of mind and even from all of my metaphysical senses. And by that, what I mean is there are those that believe, we come here, they're empty, children are empty, a clean slate, and everything is put into them. Well, if you have more than one child, then you know that you can think that this is how I raise kids and they will all give you a run for your money. However, there is a part of programming that is a thing. There is the dynamic of what our children know about themselves and what they believe about themselves and what they learn about themselves and everything else, right? I used to tell people all the time, I would say, I don't call my children bad. I've never, you can't find one child, not one of my 4 that's going to say I ever said, oh, you're a bad boy, bad. No. What I would do is I would say, your behavior is unacceptable. What you are doing, it's not what we want you to do. It's not what you're expected to do. Now, there were some people that were like, that baby don't know what you're talking about. That baby has no idea what unacceptable means. Well, how do they know what bad means? How do any of us learn languages and learn what a word means? We learn what words mean by the context that they're given in. So I can say your behavior is unacceptable. And over time, my children will learn, I'm not supposed to do that. Just like someone else might say, you're bad. I need you to think about that. I only have 4 little black boys that turn into full-grown black men. And I was wanting with everything in me. Hi, Lisa. I was wanting with everything in me to protect them. And one of the things that I did, I didn't know I was programming at the time, but one of the things that I did was I was mindful of how I spoke to them because of what the sister had told me, because people will speak to your children the way you speak to your children. People are, and so imagine four little boys, active, setting booby traps around my house, didn't have really pretty things, just got over it. I homeschooled, so I was not about to make a house where my children could not be. And so I made it conducive. I'm like, okay, yes, we had a whole wall. Their rooms, they had chalkboard, and in the basement they had chalkboard. They knew where they could write, and they knew where they weren't supposed to write. I just went ahead and made the space so they could be what they could be. When they wrote outside of the boundaries, outside of what they were supposed to be doing, that was unacceptable behavior. That didn't mean they were bad. Think about it. Our children, they They see these big people that we are. They see us. They see us doing things. And there's something in them that wants to be able to do that too. However, they don't yet have the concept of what is safe, what is not safe, what is good for them, what is not good for them. They don't understand that. And so they don't understand that just because you see me at the stove doesn't mean that you're supposed to touch. And they don't even necessarily know yet what hot means. When they go to touch, you say, no, 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 no. Hot, hot, hot. No. They don't know what that means. Okay? They are exploring a world that is new to them. They're exploring. When they get mobile, they start exploring and touching and pulling and doing. And so we childproof, make it safe for them so they can explore. But when we assign their curiosity as bad, when we assign their curiosity and their exploration as negative things, we are programming them. We are programming them. I was saying to someone recently, what you're doing, you've been inconsistent. I don't know what to expect from you. And the person said to me, what I hear you saying is that I'm flaky. Now, I like words, but inconsistent and flaky are two different words to me. They're two different things to me. The definition, look them up. They're different. When we choose to use the lowest hanging fruit, when we choose our words that we're using to interact with our children, we have to know what we're doing. We're literally programming them to hear things in a certain way. In this world, they're going to need to be able to take constructive criticism without it being like playing dozens, like your mama so this, you so whatever. And I get it. Some of it is so cultural that it's just what we do, right? But I need us to think about what our children are being programmed to understand about themselves, the world, and themselves in the world. We are the first teachers as mothers. I always say that. As a mother, I'm the first teacher. I'm the first healer. I'm the first all these things. What they understand about a thing is going to be based on what I show them and what they understand. The words that I choose to use, get a thesaurus, okay? Get a thesaurus. Choose words that child can then say, okay, unacceptable. That means so and so and so. Y'all remember when it was like, who had the Run DMC? Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good. Man, that's bad, man. That's bad. That's a bad so and so. These words mean all kinds of things, and we just choose from the low-hanging fruit. But so give them more to work with. Give these babies more to work with. Man, that's fat. Not F-A-T, that's P-H-A-T. We got all this slang and colloquialism, right? We love all of this. That's fine. But understand, because I was one of those, and people have said whatever. I feel vindicated when I see my children now. I'm okay now. But I homeschooled when it wasn't popular. I homeschooled when everybody said homeschooling was not for black people. I homeschooled when everybody was like, oh, if you homeschool, you all wear matching clothes and doing matching things. It was not a popular thing to do. And I just chose to be with my kids in a certain way and to talk to them in a certain way and to be with them in a certain way because. So for me, I spoke to my children, for example, at home, as they would say, we spoke the King's English. Hey, Ziona. And people would be like, why do your kids talk like that? Or how do you get them to do that? I chose to speak to them because, I really do have something I have to do, but I just want to say this. For those of us who are raising our children, understand this. I'm saying this as Dr. Mason. I'm saying this as a mom. I'm saying this as a sister. We all know slang. We all know how we talk and our code switching, right? We have that in different cultures. People code switch, but understand this. And this is not even what this is about, but I need to say it. If you are not teaching your children standard English, then it becomes a second language to them. You know that? Hey, Linda. Did you know that if you, so if it's you with grandkids, I want you to just, whatever influence you have over our babies, we all have our way of saying, hey, come in, go do that thing over there. We all have our thing that we do, but understand this. If we're not teaching our children, like I used to, when I would teach my children reading in their homeschool and during homeschool, I would say to them, I would say water. I would say water. Jim drank the water. I would let them say water, first of all, because in certain parts of the world, people do say water. But because I wanted them to be able to make an association between the language they were speaking and the one they were reading. If our children are not using words in our home, if we are not speaking words to them, don't think people, I've had people say, they say, I love that you don't talk to my baby in baby talk. Like if I go and I'm talking to somebody's little one, I just have conversations with them. And they say, you don't use baby talk. Not really. Because I believe that our children are so dynamic when they get here that they will learn whatever we teach them, whatever we speak to them. Think about it. You have children that grow up in multilingual homes. See, this notion that somehow our babies can't understand, it's not true. They have one parent that'll speak one language to them and another one that speaks the same thing in a different language, and they get it. They get it because they can. Now back to the program. That was just something I wanted to throw in. If you want your children to be able to read, I'm an educator. I don't know if you know it. Yes, I do birth work and work with families, but I'm not going to run out my long doctoral, whatever. I do this. This is what I do. And what I can tell you, not only from what I know educationally, but what I've done as a mother, is I've watched the words that I choose to speak to my children. These are babies now, but if you've had children, you know that in the future, they're going to be big people. It doesn't mean that you can't be like, hey, boy, get over here and sit down, da-da-da-da-da. But they're not going to read anything that says, boy, get over here and sit down. You just have to know that. And when we go and they're trying to learn to read, they're trying to associate the words with what they see. I'm all for, the, what is it, Ave, it's Ebonics, whatever. I speak whatever. But be mindful of the languages you're choosing to use with your children. Things that don't mean anything to you. Why are our children more accustomed to hearing that they're just stupid or dumb as opposed to, you really need to think about that. I want you to think. Like we can challenge. We're the first ones to challenge these babies. If you were me, you would say you need to use some deductive reasoning. Mama, what's deductive reasoning? Whatever. Go look it up because now you can read. Go look up and I did that. And that was back when we had physical dictionaries. I did it. I did a lot of things with my children that they later told me, Mom, I found out that kids don't have to write proposals in order to ask their parents for stuff. I just did stuff because I'm the first teacher. So now my grown children that are in different parts of the world, when they have to write a proposal, a contract, an agreement, when they have to sign one, they say, hey, Mom, can you check out this for me? Because I was the first person that I said, what is your plan? Write it down. Language matters. No, our children are not bad. They're inquisitive. When people would try that, ooh, girl, your boys are busy. Hey, my boys are active. They're inquisitive. And you're right. They love to explore. That is one of the things that I love to have them do. Let me settle them down for you. But you're not, I'm not just going to allow it to, you're just bad. You're just lazy. Lazy. Don't you know? These are like the lowest hanging fruit of words. Get a thesaurus. Read. Find another way to express what you're doing and what you're trying to say to them, because when you find another way to express it, guess what? Then they can correct what they're doing. Like, use your words. Don't just pull from the ones that's just like, he just lazy, he don't want to do nothing. No, because I had an experience with this. I was like, wow, you seem really more motivated to do things when it's something you want to do. But you're going to have to do some things that you don't want to do. And I'm going to help you with that. I'm going to help you be able to do the things that are desirable and then those that are necessary just to keep you, like words. I know people, like I have people say all the time, just what is your point? Because we're so used to just having people slam us. Do you understand that some of these words that are just right there, they come through our minds and those are the ones that taunt us. Those are the ones that our children can't let go of. Those are the ones that they still say they can't forgive their daddy because he said it. It's those words that we just choose because it's the easiest fruit to get. Let me just say this. Let me just say this to you. We just choose the words. You ain't gonna never be able to do nothing if you don't da-da-da. Stop speaking that over your kids. How about instead of, you ain't gonna never be able to get a job because you don't want to follow no directions. Listen, I see what you're saying here, but what you just told your child was you don't want to follow directions. You ain't gonna never, hey Tara, you'll never get a job. You'll never get this. You'll never get that. You just told them that. You ain't gonna never be able to whatever because you don't want to do so-and-so. Your words. I think about the creative power of words. Your words matter. The words you speak to your children matter. I know we call it being just straightforward. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. They need to hear it the way it is. Okay. But what they're doing is playing back your words as a soundtrack. They're playing your words as a soundtrack. This is what you said. This is what you said. I'd never be able to get a job because I don't want to pay attention. I'll never be able to do good at this because I won't sit down long enough. I'll never be. They're playing. It's their soundtrack. When what you were trying to say was, in order to be able to get the kind of, even if you want a business, if you want to be able to get to do this thing, you're going to have to learn. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? Our words. Sometimes our cultural slangs and the things that we say, we don't realize what they're doing to our children and how our children are perceiving. And I just really felt like I wanted to say that. Because if you're honest with yourself, what do you hear as the soundtrack in your mind? The things that you're afraid to do, the things that you don't feel like you've conquered yet. When were you first introduced to the notion that you couldn't do it? Was it when you were 21? Or was it when you were 2? Or was it when you were 12? Our children, our words are soundtracks for them throughout their lives. And then they go back and then they are having to, deprogram and reprogram themselves. And then it's like, oh, and then us as the parents or us and our parents is like, oh, everybody's stuck in their ways and everything is. You can't do much about that part. What you can do is make sure you're playing the role that you need to play. Okay? Like the part that you need to play. Be mindful of what you're saying. If it's you ain't gone because so-and-so, be mindful. They gonna mess around and get themselves killed. What? You gonna mess around and end up so-and-so. Do you know the creative power of your voice, your words? What? Why would you be saying that? Why would you be saying that over your children? Why would you be saying, he bad, girl. He just bad. He ain't gonna do what he's supposed to do. What? Are you kidding me? What? The one I birthed is the one that I will choose to curse as well? I know we don't always know. I think I used a word that was a nice word, hopeful. I told my son one time, years ago as a teenager, he was playing some song because he was, teenager, whatever. All my children are musicians. But I just said, well, it's just not. And I said, hopeful. And because we play with words, he took that thing. It was like, hopeful means so and so and so. He was like, Mom, you said my music was not hopeful. I said, I meant your minor progressions are heavy, da da da. Man, I had done such a great job. He was like, nah, don't pull that word stuff on me. He said, you said it wasn't hopeful. Like, we have to be mindful of our words. And even when we get big glossy words, what are we saying about our children? What are we saying toward them? I could have said it different. I could have said, wow, this sounds really contemplative, like very somber. What were you thinking when you wrote it? I could have said a bunch of stuff, but I just want to encourage you. These words, the ones bad, this, that, and the other, especially those. These babies learn these first. Be 1 year, girl, he bad. He bad. He gonna reach over there. So you mean to tell me that this baby that has it in him to hand-eye coordination enough to reach and get that thing is bad? No, it might be inconvenient for you because now you have to start putting stuff out of reach. But while you're inquisitive, you want to know what that is, don't you? Our babies aren't bad. Our babies aren't bad. Because let me tell you something, my last point. You might look right now, you'd be like, oh, he's bad. And he might have one frame of mind like, oh, that's just what my mom calls me. Or these other words that people call, right? But when he gets out into the world, he's going to understand that most people, when they're saying he's bad, are not talking about he's good. They're going to learn what people mean. And they're going to take that word that they've been hearing their whole lives from you. And they're going to say, oh, wow, she was saying I'm not good. She was saying I'm not whatever. And they will internalize it. So that's just what I wanted to share today. Hope it was a blessing to you. I'd love to know your thoughts about it. No judgment. We all have said stuff and done stuff and had to learn the hard way. We don't get manuals when we have our babies. But they choose us as their moms and their dads, and they choose to come and be in our world. And the goal is to just be better and to get better. Yeah. All right. See ya.